Hello everyone, welcome to the video of heat transfer. Today in this lecture we will discuss the introduction of heat transfer. Before going to the introduction, we have to discuss a few topics that is important and relevant to the understanding of the course, that is the temperature. Okay, I think all of you know what is the definition of temperature. Even though I want to go into it once again so that we can recapitulate it. Okay, once again. So the temperature is an intensive properties that indicates the thermal state of a system or a body. Okay, suppose a system is needed to be defined, whether it should be defined as by some property. Okay, so one of the such property is temperature. Okay, system can be defined by some other properties also, like pressure, volume, etc., that we have learned in our thermodynamics class. Okay, I think in the last semester. So temperature is also an intensive property that indicates the thermal state, okay, of a system or a body. The temperature is the measure of internal energy possessed by a system and gives the direction in which the energy in the form of heat will flow. That means it will give us the measure of internal energy, that is the temperature, how much internal energy a body has, and it can also give us information in which direction the heat will flow. Okay, whether heat will flow out or whether the heat will flow in, such kind of information we can gather from the temperature. Okay, so it is denoted by T, as all of you know, and the following are the scales that are used to measure the temperature. I think everyone knows about the Celsius, Kelvin and Fahrenheit scale. Okay, this Kelvin scale we also use as the absolute scale, and below I have mentioned the relationship between these three scales. Okay, you can go through it. Then next is heat. Now it is very important for us to understand what is heat before going into the details of the course. So heat is a form of energy which is transient in nature. Okay, that means transient means it flows. Okay, it travels from one place to another. If a particular object travels from one place to another, it is known as transient. Okay, so it is very much transient in nature. Okay, it flows from one point to another point. When two bodies of different temperature come into contact with each other, the two temperature approaches each other and after some time become equal. So this is typically what I explained is your zeroth law of thermodynamics. This equalization of temperature of the bodies is on the account of the flow of energy from in the form of heat from one body to another. So in thermodynamics we learned that when two body comes in contact, the temperature tries to become equal. That means it tries to become thermally in equilibrium with each other. Okay, so the question is why. Now in this here we can get the answer. The answer is that the heat energy from the hot body will travel to the colder body. Okay, this is why the temperature approaches to each other. Okay, they will come to an equilibrium state. Therefore we can say that heat may be defined as the flow of energy from one body to another by virtue of temperature difference between them. So if there is no temperature difference between two body, there will be no net heat flow. Okay, so to heat to flow from one body to another, there must be a temperature difference between the two body. The net flow of energy always occur from high temperature of the body towards the low temperature body, and this flow of heat stops the moment the temperature of the both bodies become equal. Thus the flow of heat is a non-mechanical transfer of energy occurring due to a temperature difference between two bodies. Okay, I think everyone got it. So according to International System of Units, that is the SI units, the unit of heat is joule. I think everyone knows that. So 1 joule will be equal to 1 Newton meter is equal to watt per second. Then 1 kilocalorie will be equal to 4.18 into 10 to the power 3 joule, and 1 kilowatt hour is equal to 3600 kilojoule. Okay, these are few conversion that is essential for us, and I have mentioned it here. Okay, so now there is few difference between heat transfer and thermodynamics that we have to be very clear. Okay, so I have mentioned the difference here. You can see the thermodynamics is a science which deal with the equilibrium states and the changes from one state to another during a process, and heat transfer is a non-equilibrium phenomenon, and as it is occurs when thermal equilibrium is disturbed. That means in thermodynamics we'll only study the system when it is in equilibrium state, and when it changes from one equilibrium state to another equilibrium state. Okay, and we also study the process. Okay, but for as we have discussed, for heat transfer to occur there should be a temperature difference. That means the two systems should not be in equilibrium for the heat transfer to occur. So heat transfer will study only the phenomenon of how this thermal equilibrium what happened when this thermal equilibrium is disturbed. Okay, the next, thermodynamics is a science which deal with the amount of heat transferred during a process, and heat transfer is a science that deals with the rate as well as mode of heat transfer during a process. So what does this essentially means? In thermodynamics, we don't worry about how the heat transfer is happening from the cold body to the hot body. Okay, how fast or what is the rate. Okay, we don't bother about what is the rate and how fast it is happening in thermodynamics. Okay, and we also don't bother about what is the mode, that is conduction, convection and radiation. Those three things we have discussed. We don't also bother about those things, but in heat transfer especially we'll deal with the rate. That means how fast the heat transfer is happening, okay, or how slow it is happening, and what is the mode, that is either it is heat transfer is happening by conduction or convection or radiation. Okay, this is also one of the very important difference between thermodynamics and heat transfer. Okay, then again, thermodynamics is a science which deals with the amount of work done during a process, and heat transfer indicates the temperature distribution inside a body. Okay, these are few differences between thermodynamics and heat transfer, though essentially the foundation of both the courses are same. Okay, but there are few differences between heat transfer and thermodynamics that I have mentioned here. Okay, thank you.